Hey, I'm Lauren.
And I'm Steven.
Shortly after college graduation, we tried that whole full-time job thing everybody's always talking about. If you promise not to laugh, we'll show you our salaries and we'll share the life hacks that we use to save over $100,000 in just 2 years at these admittedly mediocre jobs, and how that money has completely changed our lives.
After 4 years of getting a bachelor's degree in physics, I thought I'd want to spend 6 more getting a PhD. Turns out I was completely wrong about that, so I ended up getting a job as a high school teacher while I finished up a master's degree instead, which was actually way more fun. My glamorous public school salary started at $38,500 annually and skyrocketed to a whopping $42,500 once I finished grad school a year later.
But don't worry, I worked too, although my job paid even less. I did marketing for a small financial firm and made $36,000 a year, with a bump up to $40,000 after my first year.
Now, I know what you're thinking. The math isn't mathing here. If we made a grand total of less than $80K combined, how could we possibly afford to save $100,000 in 2 years after paying our taxes and all our living expenses? Well, the answer's pretty simple. We didn't pay our taxes and we stole a lot of stuff. Just kidding. Here are 3 big ways we turned our lackluster salaries into an explosion of wealth. I'll show you the detailed math at the end.
Number 1, we found a ton of small ways to make money outside of our 9-to-5s. The biggest one was our professional photography side hustle, which we've actually been doing since high school.
We also did some kind of weird stuff. For example, we'd sign up for a credit card just to collect its cash sign-up bonus, and once the bonus was paid out, we'd sign up for another, and another, racking up cash bonuses while paying 0 interest because we'd never carry a balance. This is called credit card churning, and we wrote a free guide about how to do it that's linked in the video description.
I also did a small social media marketing freelance project on the side, and Steven had a little flipping business, buying things cheaply and reselling them on eBay. None of these things took very much time, and they only added up to a total of around $13,000 per year. But that was a decent bump on top of our modest salaries. Every little bit helps.
Number 2 was the real magic though. We figured out how to be happy while spending very little money, leaving the vast majority of our income to be saved and invested. As recent college grads, this was honestly pretty easy. Instead of making difficult cuts from an inflated lifestyle, we just continued spending like college students as we earned like adults. Those little $40K salaries actually felt huge to us compared to part-time college jobs. The highest impact expenses we kept under control were housing, transportation, and food. Sharing a tiny 1-bedroom apartment in a cheap suburb of Orlando cost us about $800 a month in rent. And the fact that we chose a place so close to my job meant that I could ride a bike to work every single day, occasionally in the rain. But this allowed us to get by with just 1 car between the 2 of us. That car was chosen strategically too. Our 2005 Honda Civic originally cost just $5,600, got 30 miles to the gallon, and ran perfectly until it hit 250,000 miles. Paying cash for cheap, reliable vehicles from Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace is a huge wealth-building hack.
As for food, most of what we ate didn't come from restaurants or expensive local grocery stores like Publix. Instead, we bought our groceries at rock-bottom prices from places like Walmart, Costco, Target, and Aldi, and we cooked at home more than 90% of the time.
This is my favorite pantry, right? This is my baking pantry, right? Usually it's covered wall to wall in frosting.
When we did eat out, we devised clever menu hacks at our favorite restaurants to get meals cheaper. You'll find links to these restaurant hacks along with our cheap housing tricks and used car buying strategy in the video description.
While this was one of the busiest times of our lives, we actually found time for a lot of fun too, but none of it really cost us much money. For the most part, we used nature as our playground, biking, hiking, and hitting up the beach, all for free. We also got married somewhere in there too, which financially was a wash. We chose a cheap outdoor venue and recruited a lot of friends and family for help. When it was all said and done, the cash gifts we received almost canceled out the cost of the wedding altogether. Here's what the total cost of our lifestyle looked like. Amazingly, we were living on the equivalent of less than federal minimum wage, yet we never felt deprived. And since we actually made way more than minimum wage at our jobs, we were just banking the vast majority of our income, getting richer every day. Our spending habits made supposedly mediocre salaries feel like a fortune, and this made us appreciate just how rich people really are in the United States.
By the way, we didn't just let that excess money sit in a bank account. Item number 3 on our list for getting richer is investing. Every spare penny got shoveled into stock and bond market index funds such as BTI and BND, which grew our money automatically over time. We also claimed the full employer match from our retirement plans at work, which allowed us to squeeze a few extra percentage points out of our salaries. The money in those accounts was invested in stocks and bonds too. Altogether, we gained an average of about $5,000 per year through investing during this 2-year period in our lives. And you guessed it, there's a free stock market investing guide linked in the video description for you too.
Okay, so let's put everything together and do the math. During these 2 years, we made an average of $78K per year combined at work, plus another $13K per year from side hustles. After taking the standard deduction allowed by the IRS, our federal income tax and FICA taxes came to about $21,000 per year for both of us combined. Since we chose to work in Florida, we didn't have to pay any state income tax at all. We spent $22,000 a year to live, about the same amount as our taxes, which is pretty crazy when you think about it. And then our investments grew by about $5,000 per year, giving us an overall wealth boost of $53,000 each year. Doing this for 2 years straight, our net worth grew by $106,000, from a starting value of $47,000 to a grand total of $153,000.
At this point, we felt financially unstoppable. We had $153,000 in the bank, and it only cost us $22,000 a year to live. That means we could literally take 7 years off work without running out of money if we wanted to. Now, we didn't actually take a 7-year vacation, but that money did give us the courage to quit our jobs and take 6 months off in Hawaii, which was one of the best times of our entire life. And we came back home with more than enough money to buy our first condo in cash, no mortgage. Our next jobs paid a little better too.
Okay, if this is all sounding a little bit too much like a fairy tale to you, I want to make a few quick acknowledgments here. First of all, you might have noticed that we graduated college without being burdened by any student loans, which I'll admit made this all a lot easier. But consider this, even if we started with $100,000 in student loans, they could have been completely paid off in just 2 years by following our exact same game plan. So even if you have a mountain of debt, don't feel discouraged. You can use this strategy to dig out of that hole in no time. Secondly, I have to mention that the 2-year period covered in this video was from mid-2013 to mid-2015, and the value of the US dollar has decreased since then, as it always does. We originally saved $106,000 in 2 years on combined gross salaries of $78K while living on $22,000 per year. Adjusted for inflation, that would be equivalent to saving $146,000 in 2 years on combined gross salaries of $107K while living on about $30K annually in the year 2025. So feel free to adjust your personal goals accordingly. And if you want a little help along the way, don't forget to subscribe to Trip of a Lifestyle and check out our blog for the rest of our story. Today, we're millionaires thanks to the steps we took right out of college. The stuff really works. If you like this kind of stuff, don't forget to subscribe or follow along on your favorite social media platform.